Good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Lee Grant, and today I want to do a video talking about bit manipulation. And bit manipulation is kind of an overlooked area of programming. When people first learn programming, they start with their basics of for loops, then they move to maybe arrays, and then pointers, more complex stuff like maybe structs, classes, and then once they get done with classes, they move right on to algorithms, data structures, etc. But they don't really talk much about bit manipulation, and you don't really learn it that much. But actually, when I was going and applying for a whole bunch of different jobs, one of the things which companies actually asked me a surprising amount, I was kind of taken back by how many companies asked me questions regarding bit manipulation, and it's not something that's very covered very much in school. So I wanted to kind of go over the very basics of bit manipulation, kind of what it is, how it works, and the main ideas. Okay, so the first thing before we actually get really deep into bit manipulation, I do need to go talk about the different operators. So we have three. You have the and, the or, and then the shifting operators. And then actually we have another fourth one, which is the not, but we'll get to that in a second. So three operators, we're going to keep using these three operators and just play with them, get used to them, and kind of try to figure out the different scenarios which you can use them. So we need to look at the or. So we're going to learn the or, and then we're going to figure out how we can actually apply it. All right, cool. So the or takes in two values. So here is the sign. It's just the vertical dash down, right? And then we're going to have one value here, okay, and then one value here. So with the or, we're going to do 0 and 0. All right, so these statements are actually very easy to understand because they kind of follow the English syntax and the way that you can think about them, right? So what do we mean when we say or, right? It means one or the other, or both, right? So one or the other. And then if they're both, then we say, yes, that's true as well. And that's what we see here. So one is false, but then the other one is true. So this evaluates to true, okay? Well, this one is true, and then the other one is false. So something or no. Okay, well, we have the or, so yes. So yes again. If both are true, okay, well then yes. The only condition is if one thing is false, and then the other thing is also false, right? So this will be 0. Okay, so that's the or operator. So put one thing here, the other thing here, and then or. All right, and then we can just do the and. Okay. And then again, and is very, I should put the ampersand sign. There we go. All right, so and is also what you would expect. So in English, what do you get when someone says something and something? Both need to be true, right? So that's the only time and is going to evaluate to true, if both conditions, this one and this one. Okay, well, out of these situations, here are the two inputs, right? Here's the one, here's the other, right? 1, 2. Okay, out of these, which one do you think satisfies the and condition? Well, this one and this one are both true, so this is true. Okay. What about this one? This one and no, so this is going to be no, no, yes, but there was a no here, so no. No and no. no again. Okay, so that is the very basics of and or. There's one other operator that I mentioned that we need to do, which is the shifting operator. Okay, so shifting, you can either shift this way or you can shift, oops, that wasn't a very good one, or you can shift this way. Okay, so what this does is it takes a number, okay, a string of numbers, right? Let's just say like boing, 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 and this is some number, right? Let's just put random things in here. I want a 0 here, I want a 1 here, I want a 1 here, and I want a 0 here. All right, here's our random number, right? Now, let's apply a shift to it. Let's take this number and then shift it over by how many? Let's just do 1. So we're going to take this number and shift it over by 1. So what's going to happen? Each of these places are just going to shift over 1. Okay, so what's that going to look like? It's going to come here, 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 and here. Okay, so what's going to happen? This gets shifted over. So it's going to be a 0 right there. This one shifted over, so 1, and then this gets shifted over right there. And it fills the new place with a 0. So that's how the shift operator works. So you just take your number, okay, apply a shift, and then how much you actually want to shift it, and that determines how much something gets shifted over, okay? All right, so those are our 3 big blocks. So now, the big idea of bit manipulation is trying to figure out how to use those 3 to actually isolate set and so set, I should explain what that means. Set is where you have a number, okay, so let's just add one more. All right, so this is a variable, okay, and we can call this like var, right? This is our variable, okay, and variables, no matter what they are, an int is going to be like 5, 10, 1,000, 1,000,000, right? But that is actually just represented in binary values, right? So I think an int has like 32 binary values, and so any variable of any type, you can have a char, a string, whatever, it's going to just be set here. Okay, so the idea of bit manipulation is we have 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, right? So now, the idea is we want to, maybe for some reason we're interested in this particular bit, right? Like, we want to set this bit, and set means, whenever you hear someone say the word set, it means take the value and put it to 1. Okay, that's what set means. All right. So, how do we do it? When you want to set this particular place, you don't want the other ones to change, right? And I can't really take this variable because let's say like it's int var equals, and then what is this? This is going to be the 1's place, this is the 2's place, this is the 4, so I'll just put a little, the 1 place, 2 place, this one is the 4th, and this is 8. So we have 8 plus 2 plus 1, right? So 8 plus 2, 10 plus 1. So this number right here is integer 11. Okay. So we have this var, int var equals 11, and I'm interested in this place. Man, well, I'm kind of stuck. I want this place to be 1. I want to set the third place to be 1, but I can't just do like an index, right? Like I can't do var and then 3 equals 1. That doesn't work, right? Var is an integer. You can't index like an array. That doesn't work, okay? Well, how are you going to isolate this particular thing? Well, we use our logical operators. So let's think about this a little bit. I'm going to put another number, and we're interested in this place right there, okay? So now underneath it, I am going to put a second number. And this is how you do bit isolation and bit manipulation. Okay, so you take your number and then you create a second number. Remember, the operators are going to be one thing and another thing, right? You're going to have 2 with the logical operator in the middle. So here are our here's our 2 numbers, 1, and then we're going to do an and or an or. So there's going to be some operator applied to these 2 numbers. So the way this is like when I was doing this one and then this one, right? Here is here, the or is going to be that one, and then this is the second number. So here's our 2 numbers and then the operator. Okay. So I'm interested in this place right here. And what exactly do I want? So think about this. Like, here's our 2 operators, and now here's the result. Okay? I want this to be what? Well, I want it to be the same thing that it originally was, right? I want this 0 to carry through because I only want to change this particular place, right? So I want everything else to remain constant. Does that make sense? So I want this to be a 0. I want this one to be a 1. Now I said that I want to set this. So I want this one to be 1 because I want this place always to be 1. No matter if this is a 0 or a 1, I want this to be 1. Okay, so that's set. This one I want to remain a 1, and this one to remain a 1. Okay, so this is what I want. Now, go back to our logical operators. Let's try to figure out what number we might put here or in the logical operator. Okay, so how would I get this to always be a 1? Now this is how we determine which operator we use. Okay, so we want this to always be a 1. Which logical operator was that? Is it and? No, because if this is a 0, that's going to turn out to be 0. We want this one always. If we put a 1 right here, think about this. I'm going to do an or. This one or this, no matter if this is a 0 or a 1, this one in an or operation will always give you that 1. Okay? So now we've decided this and we've decided the or. Okay? So what are the other values? So now these are flipped for and or. So I'm going to give an and example as well, but this is or right here. So think about or. Okay. What doesn't change? A 0. So if I have a 0, watch this. Ready? 0 or 0. It's a 0. 1 or 0? just carries through the 1. And remember, I want this to remain. There it is. So 1, 0, 1. There we go. There we go. Okay, cool. So we know the number, we know the operator and the number. How do we actually write that in code, right? So here's our number. This is the number that this is var right here. Okay, so what we do is we can do like result is going to be equal to, okay, our var. Now we want to do the or, okay, that's on one side, and then the or. Okay, how do we create this? That's kind of annoying, right? Like, I can't just do int and then 100. That's going to be 100. I can't. How do I create the binary of that? Shift operators. We got our shift operators. So what I can do is like this, and this is going to be a very common thing in bit manipulation. So I have a parentheses. I'm going to put a 1 right here, okay? And then I am going to shift this over by 2. And that's how we do it. This, in the parentheses, evaluates to this. So let's go over this shift operator. Let's figure out what's going on with this. Okay, what am I doing? What is going on? So, I took a 1, okay? This is the number. This is the actual number. Okay. So 1, 0, 0, right? Do we agree? This 1, this is the same thing, right? And then this is how much we are shifting over. So we're shifting over, bitwise shifting. Okay, so what happens? Well, this 1 now shifts to this place and then this place. It shifts over 2. And we said that we pad the new places with zeros. Well, that's exactly what we wanted. Okay, so that's how you actually create the number. That's how you can create a number, which you can actually isolate something. There we go. It's you put a 1 and then shift over by how much you actually want. That's it. Like, this is how you can isolate and do your logical operators. So the step is, first, if you want to set a particular bit, what do you do? All right, you think about the place which you want. Okay, and then you think, okay, I want to keep all of the actual values the same except for this specific location, right? So which operator is going to do that for me, right? And you draw out this little diagram. You have some number, and another thing that you could do is a lot of times people do X's, right? Because this number, we want to just remain the same. So we want it to be the same. If it's a 1, it carries down to be a 1. If it's a 0, it carries down to be a 0. Okay, and then we always want this one to be a 1. So then you have to think, like, okay, well, which one of those logical operators will actually accomplish that? Well, the only way that you could do that is do this number ORed with a 0, and that will always give you the other one. Okay, so that's the idea. And then, so you then have to actually create the number which you want to do the OR operator with. So you have your number, or your variable, ORed with the number that you want. And the way that you get that is you put the bit, so you just put a 1, and then how much you want to shift over by. Shift by 2. If this was a 3, whoo, what's going to happen? All right, well, this is actually going to shift. That's going to be a 0, and then this one is going to be a 1. Now, this, no matter what this one is, this one, the result will always be a 1 here. And then this one will be x, 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 right? Because if this is a 0, this is going to be a 0. If this is a 1, this is going to be a 1. 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, right? No matter what this x is, it's just going to carry out to be that value again. All right, so another thing which people talk about during bit manipulation is you might get these on like coding interviews and stuff like that, is they will say check if this place is set. Okay, so what does that mean? They're going to give you a variable, right, 11. So, 1, 2. And this is var right here, right? So var is of type int, and it's equal to 11. And that's the binary value, right? There we go. And they're going to ask you, I want you to check if this place is set. And so going back to our vocabulary, we say, okay, well, what does set mean? It means that this is going to be a 1. So we want something that we need to test a condition to see if this is 1 or not. All right, so we go back, let's do the same thing, okay? We're gonna have some operator here, then place here, place here, place here, place here. Okay, so I want everything to be a 0. I want this to be a 0, but I want this one to remain. I want this to always just carry through. Okay, this one, 0, this one, 0. This is what I want, right? Because I want, if this is going to be a 0, I want this to be 0. It's going to evaluate to 0, and it's false, right? I can do a conditional on that. If this is 1, I want this to carry down, and then I'm going to have 1, 0, 0, which is not 0, and I know that it's set. Okay. So, how do we do this? Well, which of those operators will cause anything and anything and nothing? I kind of gave away one of the answers. So if we have a 0 here, okay, which operator is going to always evaluate to 0? That's and. So and here, okay. So now, if this is a 1, what value do I need to put here? I need that to be a 0 as well. So now, remember when I said and or are shifted, right? Like, I have this 1 here now, right? And now, if I have the 1 and a 0, it's going to evaluate to 0. Okay, if this is a 1, it's going to carry down. See? So now 0 and 0. And that gets what you want. 0, so all of the places are 0. So no matter what any of the other ones are, it's going to evaluate to 0. So 0, 0, 0, 0, and then just carries this one through. So and preserves when you have a 1, and then or preserves when you have the 1. Okay. So now let's actually go and write this in code. All right. So let's start with this. This one is just variable, so we're going to have result equals, and now variable, and then we do the ampersand sign, parentheses. Okay, so I have this number. How do I actually get this to be right there? Well, I'll put a 1 here and then shift by 2 again. Okay, so 1 shifted by 2. There you go. Now, this result, if this bit, or if this place is set, this result is going to be 1. If this bit is not set, this result is going to be 0. So what you can do is do a if statement. So like if, and then result, and then do something else, do something, right? So this is another common thing which people will ask on kind of coding interviews is like check if this is set. And the way that you just do that is very similar to the way that we were doing with the OR operator when we wanted to set something. So if you want to check if something is set, just think, okay, well I need to do an and then if I do an and, I need to make sure that I preserve, or I always set every value except the one that I'm interested in to be 0. Okay, well I know that. Now, how do I do that? An and operator, I put a 0 there. That the 0 will always set and, I erased it, but 0 and anything is 0. So I set this 0, so it's always going to be 0. Always going to be 0. This 1, well, it carries this place. 0, set to 0, set to 0. Alright, so that is the main topics of bit manipulation. There's another operator that is kind of helpful, which is the not operator. And I'll very quickly go over that. The not operator is that little squiggly, kind of like that. And what this does is it just takes each of the bits and then flips their value. Okay, so if I have not and then 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, right? This is going to be 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. Like that. But you do need to be a little bit careful with this operator because remember there's if it's like 32-bit, right? This actually, if you say like what's this 1, 2, 4, 8, so 4 and 8, 12 here. Okay, so if you say like int var equals 12, like that, and then apply a not operator, actually what's going to happen is, remember that all of these have zeros in front of them. And each of those zeros is going to evaluate to a 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so the not operator, you have to be a little bit careful with that. So yeah, those are the main concepts behind bit manipulation and checking bits and setting bits. So this is my first video, my first tutorial video, and I am really curious about your guys' feedback on how I did, how I was able to communicate with you guys. If you have any suggestions for me, how to make my videos better, I would love to hear it from you guys and get feedback and start making better and better, higher quality videos and helping people to understand more. So if you have any suggestions, if you have any questions, please please give me a comment. I would love to actually keep making better videos and keep making more informative videos. So yeah, please let me know, and thank you for watching. I will see you guys later.